what are the industries that you see as a pattern where people really struggle with communication?
Yeah. So, okay, perfect. So I think on the other side of that, I would probably bucket it as actually like B2B professional services. I think there can be some challenges in there. And part of that is, in some ways, maybe it's not quite the opposite problem, but you're operating a lot less on hard science, right? You're not working with this set of facts that we have to transmit extremely accurately. And so a lot of times those folks are, I don't want to say what they do is not fully baked, but let's say like articulating it in a clear story is not fully
Yeah.
baked. They are experts at the work that they do, but how to take the hundreds of decisions they make every day and like streamline that into a clear narrative can be challenging,
Yeah.
can be confusing. And I think a lot of those organizations don't always have, they don't necessarily have like a really clear, here's our start to finish process. Here is our framework that we use. Here are the 10 steps we go through. They are, and this is their secret sauce, more reliant on the kind of genius of the people who work in the organization. And there's a lot that those folks intuit. There's a lot that they kind of make decisions. Maybe they can't even quite explain because it's based on years of experience and honed expertise. But they struggle to step back and say, what are the 6 quick
Right.
thoughts that ran through my head before I said that piece of advice or gave that recommendation?
What a great answer for that, because I was coming from the other side, but this is so true. And like, these are my people, our people,
Yeah.
I think. So I know, I know a lot of them, and it's very true. And it's funny because coincidentally, I think just today or maybe yesterday, I read a LinkedIn post that was talking about scaling as a solopreneur and how it's basically impossible if you're struggling with that syndrome of like every client that you take on is, it's full of your intuition and this magic that only you have, but you can't like make a process out of a repeatable process. Like, doesn't mean you can't have a successful business. It's just really hard to scale that if every time you're starting from square one and you don't have a step laid out. Or oftentimes, like you basically alluded to, you might have that step, but it's kind of buried in the back of your head, or that process, I mean, and you haven't laid it out clearly for other people to understand. And so you see these vagaries in their taglines, and yeah, that's equally challenging for
Equally
people to
challenging.
understanding. What a great point.
Yeah, it makes me think about, so I work with a small team, and there was a point where we had struggled a little bit in the role of, it's now an account manager role. It was previously called client services. And one of the things that I had struggled with was that I was giving up, when we had someone in that role, a lot of the direct communication with clients, like over email and such. I would still meet with them, but I wasn't their day-to-day point of contact. And so when we brought in our current account manager, who's wonderful and has been truly transformative for our organization, but I wanted to get ahead of that and be really prepared. And so I sat down to create a document called Client Communication Guidelines. And it's like a 3-page or more in-depth thing about, like, I really let it loose, right? I was like, when they say this, you want to do this. When, you want to be assumptive with your approvals. Highlight things in yellow because that's their assigned color so that they know exactly what the most important thing is in this email. Ask 1 question per email. Like, I had so many thoughts and opinions about how I wanted things to go. And that was like one successful example of where, after a few misfires, I was able to actually codify that and say, here's everything I know and think about this. And I never realized I had that many opinions about it
No,
and
it's
about how it
important.
should be done.